right, I'm going to call to order our meeting today for the African American Equity Restoration Task Force for December 9th. And we do have a couple of items up on the agenda for vote. Gwen is en route, and when she gets here, we will have a forum to be able to vote. We will go ahead and start with our roll call, please.
Deborah Porter. Here. Tanisha Fitzgerald Baker.
Here.
Stella Richmond. Here. Mary Guitar. Gwen McKenzie. Brendan Hardin. Dave Miller. Vincent Jones. Here. Anderson Olds. Here. And George Underwood.
Let's go ahead and get started with our staff report. So Dee Dee, you would update us with that, please?
Yes.
No.
So this past Thursday, we closed our most recent grant cycle. We received 30 grant applications for this coming up grant cycle, so that was really exciting. And they will be in the amounts of either $10,000 or $20,000 for whoever we decide to give them to. Another grant that I am working on is called an Arts Pathway to Success grant. It will be a program in tandem with 4 different community based organizations and the library, Knoxville Library, to be able to provide a program for students to be able to express themselves through different art mediums. It'll be about a week long, the second week of July. It'll be held at the Burlington location library. And that grant will be for $25,000, which will be able to, and the goal is to be able to have at least 50 kids a part of the program for this first time. And we're hoping that it will be an annual thing. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right, you have anything else, Dee Dee?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions? All right, so with the 30 grant applications for our grant cycle, what is the time frame that have we established one for review and announcements?
Yeah, the plan is to do the review on Monday or next Monday during the committee meetings. That is if you all decide to move forward and grant the investment committee with, I guess, the responsibility to review, decide, and designate a certain amount of funding, which we would then send to City Council for approval in a couple months. So ideally, by the spring of 2025, we'll already use City Council received approval. We'll start dispersing those funds out to those organizations.
Perfect, thank you. I want to go back, now that we can put some items up for vote, and look at our minutes. In your packet is included both September 9th and October 14th. If you've had an opportunity to scan or review, if you have any questions or amendments to the minutes. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So, second.
All right. If that's being recorded, we will move. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And so now committee reports. In lieu of committee meetings in November, the task force members actually attended a presentation provided by the Atlanta Federal Reserve. And they provided statistics on the state of Black Knoxville. It was a very informative, eye-opening, and insightful meeting. Got a lot of thoughts stirred up in that meeting. And so I invite any of the task force members that were there, or even if you weren't there and had questions, at this time you may share, and if you have some perspectives as well.
I definitely think it was an interesting meeting just to do a deep dive into the analysis of what was going on or what is going on in Black Knoxville in regards to education, in regards to the businesses as well. So I think it was a great opportunity. Thankful for those that organized it, and thankful for the group from Atlanta Reserve Bank that came up to navigate that conversation as well. I think it opened up a lot of questions in terms of where do we go from here. But I think it was a great opportunity for us to continue the dialogue.
Absolutely. So we had an opportunity to see where we are. And follow up to that, I am in collaboration and really love a group called Think Tennessee, which is pretty much a think tank that collects and analyzes and charts out a lot of data across Tennessee. And you can get very specific. And what I want to do is really compare the data that we received on that day with the data bank from Think Tennessee. So Tiffany and I have a meeting scheduled December, is it 19th?
Yeah, it's in the 19th.
The 19th,
Yeah.
with them, and we'll send some information out to you all based on that data as well. And what I thought is that when we look at our buckets, it would be helpful to pull out the data that aligns specifically with each thing. So we got a holistic view as they walked us through, but looking at the data pieces that are really relative to that particular bucket, and so that can inform subcommittees and in turn help us think about, like you said, where do we start, where can we have impact, where can we move the needle. And also, I'm hoping that we can put together something that is a transparent type of communication out to the community partners, organizations. So we shouldn't be the keepers of this information, you know, embedded in just what we do, but someone else might have some influence or thoughts about the data. And so that's down the line, but I wanted to plant that seed. Are there any other comments or thoughts about the data we've received? Did everyone get a chance? I think you got the full report in your email. Okay, perfect. All right, we're gonna move forward with tax share. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'd just like to say, echo what Reverend Jones said, but also to say that the information was an eye-opener, true enough, because in those areas that we're looking at, small business and housing they went into education and some other things, but those two things that really stuck out to me, because we are in our community behind, and the data prove that. You know, some were saying, well, you know, maybe the data don't lie all the time, you know, for the most part. So as we look at the data and look at our charge into some of the areas that we need to look at, then of course I agree with you in terms of subcommittees and those people that will be working with us, but to hone in on those pieces of that report to bring out those things that we need to really work on. And that is, of course, we know housing, but I see housing going up everywhere now, but definitely the small business and education. And I think other things fell a little bit, at the bottom. That's what I looked at when I looked at the data as well.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we'll move forward with business and announcements. My first announcement, our co-chair, Stanley Taylor, has resigned his seat. And obviously, we want to thank Stanley for his commitment and the role that he has played being on the task force. I understand that his job has shifted with some requirements and commitments, and so it would be really tasking. And I can appreciate someone who says, I'm all in or not. And so once he found he couldn't be all in and balancing those tasks, then he relinquished that seat. So we'll work to identify a community member to complete the remainder of his term, which is due to end in June of 2026. So if you have recommendations, you have someone who, and I'm sure, because I get people that reach out often to say, how can I be a member? If there's someone that you would strongly recommend or consider for his seat, please share those with Tiffany if possible by the end of December. We'd like to get them on board the first of the year. In looking at the makeup of our committee and the expertise, demographics, I'm thinking It would be beneficial for us to consider an individual that serves in the healthcare field. That's a gap that we have currently as a focus area, and we know that that is in our purview. So if you have someone along those lines, that would be great. But again, just think about who you consider and recommend, knowing the work of the task force. Now, 2 of our task force members, Miriam Benson along with Lakeisha, attended the Tennessee Black Legislative Retreat in Burns, Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. And I'm just gonna ask if you would like to share any of the details of that experience, if you got any next steps or suggestions. Like, well, they're smiling, so let me take my glasses off and get my pen. All right. Oh, is that? I will let me put my glasses back
I would refer to Pastor Jones to share out his experience, and then if you guys want any additional details, I can share. But they represent us well.
Thank you, Kenya, for being so gracious. But really, the Tennessee Black Legislative Retreat was amazing. To be able to see all of the opportunities, to see a lot of the initiatives that are happening in African American communities across the state. It was really eye-opening and really insightful as well. I felt like I was a kid in a candy store to go to the economic development workshop and just to see some of the great work that's being done in Memphis and in Nashville as well. And our colleagues were talking on the way back, a lot of the initiatives align, interestingly enough, with the priorities as well as the subgroups that we have already established. And a lot of initiatives need statewide support, so you see a lot of synergy in Nashville, you see a lot of resources in West Tennessee, but we definitely want to make sure that we continue to bring those conversations to East Tennessee, specifically within Knoxville as well. The education presentation was also insightful as well. And we've already been in connection regarding getting people in contact with those individuals to pour more resources, more jobs, and more economic opportunities back to the Knoxville area.
So, do we have some next steps or recommendations to continue that network, or I don't know if there are any opportunities that you thought were exciting that we might be able to mirror here?
Yeah, so, I'll add, to answer your question, yes, so I think what we would really like to do is share out in committee some of the resources and individuals that we were able to network with and see where there may be some opportunity for us to either connect them to the larger committee through presentation, maybe having some of them come in to present next year as we go into 2025, and or to refer some of them to subcommittees as those form out to be able to see where we may be able to plug in some of the resources that are there with some existing opportunity or emerging opportunities here. And so kind of sharing out some of that information through our existing committees that can then filter out to subcommittees, but maybe some of the larger initiatives that are already up there running to try to find opportunities to plug them in, whether it's them physically coming here and presenting or maybe participating virtually to share out some of the work that they're doing. I think especially in the spaces that Pastor Jones mentioned around economic development, there's some really exciting opportunities that are emerging and folks that have started to have some really good results in other parts of the state that are looking for entry points into East Tennessee. And so I think that there's a good opportunity for us to think about what that can look like for our community. And I was really grateful that Pastor Jones and Dr. Gattau were able to go. We also, Sam Brown from our local NAACP also attended, and so there were a few of us there from Knoxville, which was really great. And we really wanted to have the opportunity to go. I thought it was important for us to be represented in that space, in part because, as Pastor Jones kind of alluded to, so much of the conversation around Black Tennessee and so many of the opportunities and the resources, things like that, stop at Nashville, right? When people talk about Black Tennessee, they're not talking about East Tennessee. And so thinking about how we can start to move ourselves into those spaces and be a part of those conversations. And this was a really great opportunity to network with some folks doing great work in other parts of the state, as well as our legislators from across the state, not only our own representative, but also other members of the Black Caucus as well, starting to build those relationships.
Perfect. Really interested in that. My brain is turning, but I look forward to kind of getting that information and disseminating that with our subcommittees and seeing how, like you said, we can become an entry point, how we can. I think that will really grow momentum around our priorities, where we have statewide connections, and we have an opportunity to mirror programs that have already shown results. So that's great. Next, so I want to piggyback off our subcommittees, and we talked about when they would start. So right now, the subcommittee stakeholder luncheon is scheduled for Thursday, January 23rd from 11 to 1, and I hope you have that on your calendars. The subcommittees, our working groups, have been a topic of discussion since we started the framework and thought about how to best build capacity and bring some expertise to our priorities. And so we are coming up on a year since we started or developed the framework as a guideline for our discussion, and we are ready to move forward. So we got recommendations from committee members and our committees as far as who might serve and bring some value and opportunity to each of the subcommittees that we've established. Do you have that list to read out just the name of the subcommittee so we can have that on record? Location for January 23rd?
It's at the back.
While we're looking for the list, I will say, so in the next couple of days, I will be sending an email out to all of those recommended. And we look forward to their response. Once we get the responses back and the commitments, and we'll know that well before January 23rd, we'll go ahead and send those out to you all. But I am sending those out in the next couple of days with a kind of a description of the task force, of the subcommittees, and you have the list. Okay.
Just a couple names, okay, all right.
No, just the names of the subcommittees,
Oh,
not the.
oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, the subcommittees are education, health, homeownership, small business and entrepreneurship, and workforce development.
Right. So I just wanted to put that on record. So
Oh, yeah.
those are the committees, subcommittees that we're looking to fill, that we got recommendations for. Want to thank everyone who participated in helping us with that list, and particularly the community engagement team for identifying individuals that would serve well on our subcommittees. And of course, the task force will have a lead for each subcommittee that's kind of the liaison for that. The other thing is that once these are up and running, we would meet on a different schedule to allow subcommittees to meet in our presence there and not double it up with our regularly scheduled meetings. So we'll flush that out a little bit more after January. Under business, the second cycle of our grants program deadline was December 5th, and as mentioned, for those that came in, we have 30 grants that are going to be reviewed and presented, and we'll figure out how to disperse the funds equitably across those organizations that present to City Council, and hopefully have that done in the spring. Because, moving on to the next order, because we no longer have anyone serving in the co-chair position.
Wait, can we go back?
I'm sorry, did I miss something?
Sorry. Yeah, so we,
Oh,
like
I did miss
the grant
something.
review process next Monday, so we can introduce.
All right, so Then I would need a motion for the grant proposal cycle, which ended on December 5th, and that the grant review committee, which is the investment committee, review those and decide on the amount of dollars to award those entities on behalf of the African American Equity Restoration Task Force. So is there any discussion or any questions? All right, so can we get a motion then for those grants to be reviewed? Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Because we're no longer going now to Stanley, since he's vacated his position, we no longer have a person serving as co-chair. And I would like to nominate Dale Porter to serve as co-chair, which then, of course, would open up the position of secretary that she filled for the past few years. Is there any discussion? Is there a volunteer? No discussion. I'm looking at you to make sure I want any discussion from this side of the room. If y'all have anything, okay, because we want to, okay. But we do need someone to think about serving as secretary. Now, I have shared in several other committees and boards that I'm on that there are really new and smart ways to do notes now in meetings, particularly Firefly is my favorite. So the task isn't going to be as daunting, but if you could get someone to at least think about serving as secretary. All right. So, based on my nomination of Deb, I do need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, quickly? Aye. And so now we have Dale Porter as our co-chair. And thank you. Now next meeting, you'll see the video.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure we're. All right. Before we move to public forum, we move rather quickly through today's meeting, and I will allow time if committee members have an announcement. I have a couple. One, if you kind of participated or witnessed, it's been over 10 years since 5 Points Up, which I'm also the chair of, has hosted Winter Wonderland. And Winter Wonderland was our efforts in bringing some festive lights and music and things to East Knoxville. So traditionally we have decorated Dr. Walker's Hardy Park. We got a late start this year, so we won't have a formal program, but we are going to decorate the park. So those lights are being, which brings to a question I have. I would like to make a motion that we help purchase the lights, because when they city took the lights down last year, they got lost. And so we don't fundraise or anything like that, we just serve. So we really don't have a big pot of funds for things like that. So I would like to make a motion for the African American Equity Restoration Task Force to donate $200, and that will light up, I think we have 16 trees, and the sign will be like to light. Also, what we're going to do, for those that are interested, on December 17th, I felt in my heart, since we're not having our formal gathering, that those that want to, at least our committee and others will be there. We just want to pray for our community, for our city. Our goal for 5 Points Up is to beautify and unify East Knoxville. And so it's a really simple goal that we would like to continue, but I'm really focusing on the unity piece right now. And so anyone who wants to show up, we'll be there at 5:30 on December 17th, just for a short while, to say, we love our community and still support it. And so going back to the motion to donate $200 for purchasing of some lights for Dr. Walter Hardy Park.
How much in total resources do we have now? It's in the thousands.
Yeah. So we just need a renewal for our lights.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you all so much. Are there any other announcements?
I just have, speaking of communities, I'm going to pass these around. This is Christmas in Burlington, which is Saturday. And we like to try to beautify Burlington as well, because we come all the way down MLK, and this is the other end of it. And so we would like to beautify Burlington with, we'll have, as we have in the past, we'll have Santa with the kids, and we'll have different things going on. And this is just from 2 to 5. We've shortened the period, this time frame this year, but it will be Saturday from 2 to 5. And there will be retail vendors and food vendors, and on a smaller scale, because Greater Warner is just now opening up, and so the building is not open to the public. So we have to do things outside of thank you, outside of the church. But we will be having this on Saturday. Feel free to stop by, feel free to, just come by and say hello, buy something from the vendors, because we want them to, make a little bit of money, because they're out there for a couple of 3 hours. And lighting up the Christmas tree, there will be lighting up the Christmas tree. So we should have entertainment, music, we should have a good time.
Perfect, I appreciate you sharing. I will definitely try to attend. I think, and I've said this before, any event, and I know we can't attend all of them, but any time that we can have some presence from the task force at events that support or uplift the African American community, I encourage us to do that. So, any other announcements?
I don't know that we will meet before, or so it'll be right before. But of course, we're coming up on January, after the holidays, which means that King Week is fast approaching. Last year, I believe the task force did an ad in the booklet as the date has not passed, or has passed, too fast.
The time frame has passed, but I still try to get it in. If you get it in by yesterday, no.
We know people, I think we know somebody.
This week,
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you all wanted to try to have an ad this year or not, so, be able to have a motion and a vote. I don't have the pricing list in front of me, but y'all can afford it. I can tell you that.
175 for a full page, ad.
175.
That's what we want to do. So, can I get a motion to have an ad for the MLK Commemorative Commission booklet this year? Motion to approve. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Now,
So we can do that. We did the ad. last
Yeah.
year, So we'll just
go ahead.
update, do an ad and get it submitted.
That'd be perfect. Now, did we get a table or seats before?
City table, and then you guys just let us know who
Is
the
there anyone who doesn't have a ticket who wants to
Yeah,
attend?
I think last year there were only a couple of people.
Yeah, because most of us already had tickets, right? Yeah, so.
The city has, two or three tables.
Yeah. So, which, it'll mostly be city staff, but if we know within the next little bit, I can make sure to hold seats, at our table. I think that's what we did last year, since it was only a couple of people who didn't have seats, instead of buying a whole table that we couldn't fill. So you all are welcome to do that again this year. There are people who don't already have seats, with your employer or some other organization, and want to come, as a member of the task force, then we can have seats for you at the city table, just make sure that we're at, one more time.
Sure. So, if you plan or would like to attend and you don't already have a seat, you just let Tiffany or Kenny know, and they can add you to the table with the city. Yeah, I don't imagine it's a lot of us. Yeah, so maybe a couple.
And our very own Brother Vincent Jones and his beautiful wife are the Grand Marshal.
Oh. Well, why are we keeping that a secret, Pastor?
You have the topics.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations.
It's an honor to serve.
Yeah.
So we'll have a whole rundown of the activities at our next meeting. So you'll have that information.
Okay. If, when you get that information, since it'll be so close to time when you meet again, can you go ahead and send that out so we can get that email and get those out? events on our calendar?
30.
Okay, perfect. Any other announcements? Okay. Do we have anyone sign? I'm sorry.
No.
This is Haley Howard. Haley is our assistant neighborhood coordinator in the Office of Neighborhood Empowerment, which is a part of the Office of Community
Thank you,
Safety.
just here to support.
So I wasn't sure if she had anything to announce. She's here to support. Okay, so we have neighborhood needs, and we have neighborhoods that are considering organizing or reorganizing or things like that. Haley and Debbie Instrument in the Office of Neighborhoods are an excellent resource for supporting our neighborhood organization.
Thank you. Well, if there is not anything else, just making sure you have on your calendars January 23rd, and then I think the week prior, or a couple of weeks prior, on January 13th will be our next meeting. If I don't see you all again, obviously I'm wishing you and your families a happy holiday season. If you have an opportunity to join us on December 17th, we would welcome that in Dr. Hardy Park. But if I could get a motion at this time to adjourn.
Can I do a quick reminder? We will have committee meetings next week. So as, no, it's okay. It's okay. As mentioned, investment committee, I definitely need you all to be present so that we can get the grants reviewed, so that we can keep up with our timeline that we do have. And then, of course, community engagement and executive committees will meet collectively. Okay. Thank you, Kim.
All right, motion to adjourn. Thank you. So move, second, all in favor? All right, perfect, thank you all.